So here's the thing, the Fantastic Four is Marvel's first family, and with Fantastic Four first steps heating up in theaters, I figured it was time to stretch back through every Fantastic Four movie and the two 90s shows that some fans are completely invisible to, and rank them on a tier list starting with the 90s shows. The 2-season Fantastic Four 90s shows was actually one of my first exposure to the team. I'd never seen any F4 project before this, and while it was a decent intro to Marvel's first family for me, it's definitely not my favorite. Season 1 didn't really do it for me. Coming off of the X-Men anime series in 97, this felt like a big step down. A lot of the episodes just weren't that interesting or entertaining, and this version of the Thing felt more like a pure comic relief than an actual character. I wasn't super into the villain portrayals either. Silver Surfer and Galactus were okay, but Doom didn't hit the mark for me. That's just me personally. Season 2 though, on the other hand, was much better. The brand new intro was great, and way more interesting guest stars and cameos who popped up in to help or clash with the team. The episodes stepped up in quality just a bit, and the team's dynamic improved, especially with the Thing, who felt more like himself this time around. Still, some of the episodes were just fine, while others were better than expected. The finale itself was fine, not amazing, but a solid way to wrap things up. In the end, the team was consistently decent, and the show was just fine overall, I guess. Not incredible, but enjoyable enough, but for what it is, this is going into B tier, but could lower down as we go. Next up is the Silver Surfer 90s show, and this is something I wanted to watch after I watched the Fantastic Four one. It is better than the 90s F4 show, but not by a huge margin. First off, the show isn't actually canon to the 90s F4 series, which I kind of found surprising because I'm pretty sure all the 90s Marvel stuff are pretty much canon to each other as far as I'm aware. It does explore new ideas and gives us a different take on the Silver Surfer story, and while that's cool, I personally would have preferred it to be set in the same universe, but I don't hate the fact that it isn't. It lets us explore more of Galactus and see other characters like Nova, Thanos, and even Ego. The animation is a bit hit or miss though. It mixes 2D animation at the time with some early CGI and 3D animation. Some of the 3D parts honestly remind me of that 2000 Spider-Man show, and since I haven't watched it, I'm not sure if that's a compliment or a red flag. The Fantastic Four themselves don't appear in the series, but considering the direction it takes after Surfer's origin, it actually makes sense. Speaking of which, his origin is one of the highlights here. Like before, some episodes are just okay, while others are a definite step up. The finale is just fine again, but spoiler alert, it ends on a cliffhanger, and we'll never get a season 2, which is such a shame. So for what it is, it's a solid and enjoyable watch, much like the Fantastic Four 90s cartoon, and the Silver Surfer show is going in B tier. The first Fantastic Four film is up next, and it's the 1994 unreleased film. It's truly sad to see this film suffer from both poor production and an extremely low budget, because with more resources, I think it could have been something decent. Instead, what we get is whatever this was. The casting was okay, Reed and Stu were decent, but I wasn't huge on this version of Johnny or Ben, which was unfortunate. Dr. Doom was definitely the most underwhelming version of the character I've seen so far, and Mo-Man, or I guess the Jeweler, whoever you want to call it, felt weirdly out of place and didn't add much. To its credit, the movie had solid comic accuracy, and it's clear that the actors cared about the roles. However, sadly, things didn't turn out as they hoped. The visual effects were probably some of the worst I've seen in a superhero film, which to be fair, makes sense given the micro budget. The team's origin was fine, but overall, I wasn't a fan of this version of this Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four 1994 is going in D tier. Now let's talk about probably the most fun I've had watching a Fantastic Four project so far, being the 2005 debut. And honestly, it's not a horrible origin story at all. I actually really like this version of the team and how they interact with each other, especially Johnny Storm. Chris Evans might still be the best Johnny Storm we've seen on screen so far. This is me before watching First Steps, by the way. The charisma, the energy, he pretty much nails it. This version of the Ben Grimm / the Thing is really great so far too. You can't help but feel sorry for the guy, and Michael brings a lot of heart to the role. Ion and Jessica both do a great job in their roles as Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, and something about this Fantastic team clicked for me, and I think it's the light, fun tone they all share. You can tell they're enjoying themselves, having fun, and that makes things easier for us to enjoy as an audience when watching this movie. Now, if I could change one thing, it would be Reed and Sue's relationship. I feel like the film rushes them together just because it has to, rather than letting it grow naturally. And what I mean by this is that Sue and Victor are together at the start of the movie. Eventually it kind of dies down, but it's weird to have them start in a relationship in the movie, and I've never seen that in any Fantastic Four media, so to me it was weird. Speaking of Victor Von Doom, I was surprised. I kind of liked him here. We see him get powers the same way the team does. I was expecting another one-note 2000s villain, but he was actually solid. Also, rest in peace to Julian McMahon. He brought something unique to the role. The effects are definitely outdated today, but I've seen way worse effects in 2000s movies, especially Marvel. I do wish the characters had more more growth, and the stakes never really felt super high for me. Still, this movie is a fun time even with its flaws, and at the moment it's going in B tier in between both of the 90s shows. Next is The Rise of Silver Surfer, and once again I love this team. The dynamic is the best part of both of these 2000 Fantastic Four films. They work so well together, and Chris Evans once again steals every scene he's in. The Silver Surfer himself was solid. Doug Jones brought the presence, and Lawrence Fishburne's voice fit him perfectly. Every time he was on screen he was basically OR farming. There's Galactus, who is a cloud. Yeah, that's all we get of him. And he gets defeated really fast too, which makes the final act kind of underwhelming. I don't even think he speaks in the film, which is crazy to think about, but I don't even want to think about this version of Galactus. Dr. Doom also returns, and while he does have one peak moment, which is riding the Surfer's board after stealing his powers, his inclusion feels forced. The story acts like Doom has to be there, but I honestly think the film could have worked better without him. It just made things more convoluted. Also, there's this power swapping plot where the four randomly switch abilities after Johnny touches the Surfer. I've never seen that before in any F4 media, and while it was kind of fun, it didn't feel necessary. Visually, it actually looks a little worse than the 2005 film. Some of the CGI didn't age super well. Even with all those criticisms, I still had fun, and that's thanks to the chemistry between the team. You can never go wrong with them, and when they're on screen together, it's not perfect, it's definitely flawed, but it's still pretty fantastic. The Rise of Silver Surfer is going in B tier once again, but below all the 3 projects we've done so far. It feels like a lot of projects have been in B tier so far. 4 to be exact, which is pretty fantastic. The greatly anticipated Fan Force Sick is next, and I generally don't know what to say to you, Fox. Like, how do you mess up the origin of Fantastic Four this badly? I gave this film 1 star, and I'm pretty sure it deserves to be lower. They try to build up tension before the four get their powers, but the powers don't even show up until about the final 30 to 40 minutes of the film. Then everything suddenly gets rushed, including the final battle against a bootleg Dr. Doom. This is easily the worst version of Doom in live action, with no stakes, no emotion, almost no action, and absolutely no presence. Let's talk about the suits because, yeah, they're pretty mad and web ugly looking, I can't lie. Black, dark, and lifeless. Don't get me wrong, I love black fits. They made my boy Spidey have aura. They even fit Joe Goldberg as well, but not the Fantastic Four. They don't fit them at all. No blue and white, no pop, no color. The whole movie is soaked in gray and shadow. It's horrible. There's a weird horror tone when the four first get their powers, which isn't awful, but it still feels out of place in an F4 film. Sue and Johnny Storm being adopted siblings isn't something I'm huge on. Ben Grimm is just kind of there. Hey, clobber in town. And then you also have Miles Teller being himself, but maybe he should have stick to films like Whiplash because this is a wild drop in quality. Seriously, this came out just a year before. Honestly, I think I need to wash my eyes out with some Fantastic Four. After sitting through this mess, I'm just done. Ben Stick is straight up D tier. If I could put it a tier lower, I probably would. Alright, for real this time, next up is the final movie of this marathon, Fantastic Four First Steps. And I gotta say, the MCU has 2 back-to-back bangers this year. Thunderbolts and First Steps are great. Easily the best Fantastic Four movie released so far. Everyone played their part well. I honestly think Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm and Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm were probably the best parts of the movie and of course standouts of the team. I think this version of Sue is my favorite from all the films so far. I can't say the same for Joseph Quinn, only because ain't nobody beating Chris Evans right now. Ebon Moss's Ben / The Thing was great, and I love the prosthetics, the better CGI, and I think the voice work for him was great, but there's just like some emotional value I liked more about Michael's version of the character from the 2000s Fantastic Four that we didn't get with Ebon. There's a couple of scenes of The Thing with this new female character Rachel, who could have been a potential love interest for him in the future, but we barely get to see them together in this film, and other than like 2 scenes, so it doesn't really go anywhere. Pedro Pascal was the casting I was worried about the most, and I could say I am surprised how well Pedro played Reed. He has the intelligence, the chemistry with Sue, but it also feels like something was missing. He seems a bit weaker power-wise than the 2005 version of Reed. Otherwise though, I think this version of Reed is great, but I do prefer Eon's version of the character a bit more, but I could see why most prefer Pedro Pascal. I can honestly see my take changing for that soon. The villains' performances were really well done. I think Ralph as Galactus and Julia Gardner as Shalaba / Silver Surfer was great. I just wish there was some more screen time for the both of them, especially Shala. She was a great Silver Surfer, and I enjoyed the small flashback we get before she becomes Galactus' herald. It's nice for us to see a little flashback for the Silver Surfer's origin since it hasn't been done in live action before. The 2000 Silver Surfer pretty much explained it to Jessica Alba's Sue Storm with no flashback shown, but but it felt like this 2000 Silver Surfer had more screen time than the new one. I might even go on a limb and say I prefer Doug and Lawrence's Silver Surfer more than Julia's, but both are really great on screen in both films, so it's very hard for me to choose. Honestly, they're probably both tied for me. I also felt like Galactus got defeated a little too easily. Maybe it's just me though. I feel like Julia Gardner's Silver Surfer should have had more of an impact in that final act because she really didn't. If she did, I probably would have preferred her more than the 2007 version. The first half of the film was really great, while the second half of the film felt a bit boring or a little underwhelming. I love the opening sequence of the Fantastic Four defeating a few villains such as Mole Man, Giganto, Mad Thinker, then the unfortunate cut of John Malkovich's Red Ghost, but we do get a scene of his Super Apes, but they should have shown a small cameo of John at least, either in the opening sequence or at the very end of the film. What makes it worse is that he was supposed to play Vulture in the canceled Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4, so that's sad. He could have had 2 chances at a superhero film and got cut from both, which is crazy, so I do feel bad for him. Other than that, I love the story taking place around Franklin, who I assume will play a huge role in Avengers Doomsday, and the visuals are some of the best in the MCU. Overall, it's the best Fantastic Four film with a solid lineup, solid villains, and amazing portrayals for all the characters, great visuals, fun story and action, and spoiler alert, that post-credit scene made me more hyped for Doomsday, which is awesome. And I think Fantastic Four is gonna go in A tier. It's gonna stay out of S tier for now, but it's still very good nonetheless. And that is my official ranking for every Fantastic Four movie and show. I apologize, my ranking video came out a little later than some. I just came back from vacation and I know you guys are missing the gaming videos, so I wanted to edit that. Couldn't get out in time, but my Battlefront 2 video should be out next week or so. I know my Superman and Jurassic Park ones were on time. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure to go do so. I love those ranking videos. So that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy my ranking, and if you want my full review on all these movies, go ahead and follow my letterbox, and if you want my full reviews for the show, follow my serialized. Have an amazing day. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Make sure to subscribe, and goodbye.